What's going on, guys? The Zodiac Killer here. Today I want to tell you about something that happened to me in Thailand, which I was thinking about a few days ago, and I was thinking like, there's a lesson to be learned from this.
I should share it with my YouTube subscribers.
Within about the first 2 weeks or so of Thailand, I was at home in our villa, and I was trying to get on with some work. It was about 8 p.m, and if you don't know, I am typically a bit more of a night owl, or I was that way inclined before I got onto a timetable. So I would typically try and get my work done more in the evening and nighttime. Now, the two people I was living with, Hamza and Nabil, weren't like that. They got their work done during the day, and then in the evening and the nighttime, they, mucked about and slept. As you should. Now, the problem was, I was in my room trying to get some work done on my laptop, and Hamza and Nabil were in Hamza's room playing music and trying to freestyle. Quite a lot of the time, they tried to get me involved in their freestyling shenanigans. And to be honest with you, you can call me boring, you can call me this or that, but I'm just not about that life, okay? White boys do not belong on the beat, especially not when freestyling. I don't have any rhymes, guys. I don't have rhymes, and I think that's entirely okay. I am not interested at all in learning how to freestyle, but for some reason Hamza and Nabil really didn't want to accept this, and so they continued to try and get me involved. Now, this night in particular, I was in my room doing my stuff, and they carried on sort of barging into my room and freestyling and pissing me off. I had made it very clear that they were pissing me off, and they continued to do it. This was not okay. I felt myself starting to get quite angry, and when I get angry, I act with my emotion, and that's not very good. So I have learned over the years that once I begin to feel myself getting angry, I should leave that situation as soon as possible. And that's exactly what I did. I left. I got on my bike and I drove away. I didn't really have a plan for where I was driving, and it was also a stormy night, which isn't very ideal situation to drive in on a bike. Nevertheless, I was pissed off, and I didn't care. I braved the storm. I didn't have a plan, so I texted someone that I met on the island that I would come to a bar to meet her and her friends. She sent me the address, and I punched it into Google Maps and drove there. Now, it turns out that it wasn't an address to a bar, but it was addressed to where she worked. They were like pre-drinking or some shit, I don't know. I was expecting to pull up to a bar, but I didn't. Nevertheless, she greeted me, I went in, and I sat around with her and her friends. They gave me a beer or two, and I was just sat there drinking, and I was also sort of journaling a little bit as well. I was journaling my frustrations. Now, I was sat there, and Thai girls really love white men. They love white boys. White boys stay winning out there. And so I was getting a lot of attention from her and her friends. They were speaking in Thai, but when people are like speaking about you in a different language, you just know, and they're like, oh, that's like, they're like giggling, and they're like looking over at me and shit, and I'm just there like, okay. It was one of those, I got dubbed hot nerd by them as well, which is quite interesting. And at the time, I had some really bad sunburn on my shoulders, and this girl that I had met with said that, at her work, she actually has aloe vera plants that could heal my sunburn, so I should go over there at some point, and here I am. I'm there. So in the conversation, it came up like, oh yeah, sunburn, Sam, let's see it. This would mean that I would have to take my shirt off, and they were very keen on that idea. They were like, oh yeah, let's see the sunburn. So, okay, fine. I stand up and I begin to take my shirt off, and there's this sense of anticipation. I hear one of them say like, oh, does he have abs and shit like that. When I took my shirt off and it was revealed that I don't quite have abs yet. I'm very lean, but I don't have abs yet. There was almost this sense of disappointment in the air. It was palpable to me. I remember it because it kind of hurt my soul a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I won't ever forget that feeling, It wasn't innately negative. I wasn't in a bad mood, but like, it was like a subconscious thing of like, there's a lot of disappointment there. That just stayed with me. Don't get me wrong, there was nothing said, there was nothing implied in the environment, but you sensed it. You sensed the air of disappointment when I revealed that I did not have abs yet. And they were still very attracted to me, and I ended up having an awesome night anyway. But regardless, it highlighted something to me, and that is, girls don't actually care about the journey you're on. They only care to see the results. And I only say girls because that's like marketable to you guys. A lot of you guys care about specifically what girls think about you, which is fine. But it actually also applies to men. It applies to everyone. No one gives a shit about your journey. They just want to see the results. Anyone outside of your circle doesn't care about your story, your journey. They don't care. They just want to see results. The entire time I was sat there with my shirt on and I have this, you know, broad shoulders, I have good frame, and they're acknowledging that. They're saying like, oh, hot nerd and shit like that, like blah, 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 blah. They can see that I hit the gym hard. But as soon as their sort of fantasy, their ideal view of me was slightly shattered by the fact that I didn't have abs yet, there was a subconscious sort of knocking down of the score that I get in their subconscious perception of me. And this isn't like an attack on their character. This isn't me saying, oh, that's terrible, they're terrible, they're shallow. That's literally just how shit is. Everyone's perception of people is based quite a lot on how we subconsciously see them. I'll give you another example now. This is for me, this is my subconscious perception of someone. I recently got in touch with an old friend of mine, and you know, we used to play Xbox together and shit, had a, you know, awesome time when we were younger and stuff. Haven't spoke to him for a few years. Actually hopped in a call with him a few days ago because he sent me a message saying, oh bro, I see what you're doing, you're actually doing bits, I'm really proud of you. And that felt awesome to get that acknowledgement from someone who had seen me at my lowest. So I hopped in a call with him and turned our cameras on, and he has a skin condition. I can't remember what it was called, but it makes his face really red. And I asked him about it and he said, oh yeah, it's probably perpetuated by an ingredient in vapes. And he told me that he still vapes. And I didn't say to his face at that point, oh, that's weird, why the hell are you still vaping? That makes no sense to me. But subconsciously, that thought process went into my mind, and because of that, subconsciously, my perception of him fell. Now, fast forward to the end of the conversation, and we've just talked about a lot of deep stuff, and it turns out he's having a really, really, really difficult time in life right now. And so that kind of just proves my point. Like, no one really cares about the journey, they just want to see the result. The result of it was that he had this skin condition, that he wasn't actually helping himself because he continued to vape. But the journey was that he was going through a really hard time and is insanely stressed at the time. So vaping is a coping mechanism. Subconsciously, I didn't give a shit about that. That wasn't on my mind. I just saw the result and my score went down on him. And it'll stay like that for people who are outside of your circle, people who you don't question. You don't actually want to learn their story. My perception of him only got challenged because we talked about this deep stuff and I actually give a shit. For most people, they're not going to give a shit. They just want to see the result. So what's the overarching point of this video? No one's going to look at you and you're in this situation and, oh, but you know, he went through this and that. Most people, they don't care. That's the brutal truth of it. They don't fucking care. Get the abs, get the frame, get the money, get the success, get the houses, get whatever you want. That is when most other people will start to give a shit. If you have people in your life who do give a shit about your journey, that's a fucking privilege. That's awesome. But understand that most people, like I say, don't care. They don't care how hard you've been working in the gym. You don't have abs. You don't have the fucking abs. You don't have the abs to show it, and so therefore, you go down in their perception of you. That's the brutal truth. That's human nature. And bullshitting will only get you so far. At some point, you're gonna have to take your shirt off and they'll see, oh, he doesn't have abs. Obviously, I wasn't bullshitting in that scenario. I didn't ever claim to have abs, but you get my point. You can't blag your way through life. Your cripping will be tested. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was inspiring. It seems like a bit of a downer video, like, oh, no one cares about it. People will actually care about your journey once you have the results. That's the only time people will care. And to be honest, quick side note, which I'm glad I just remembered to include. Some people, and some girls specifically, will see that you're on a really positive trajectory in life, and they will buy into your upcoming success. And that's awesome. That's really sweet. But like I say, most people, they don't care. Just get the results. If you're not already, join the Discord. It's linked in the description. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys. Zodiac Killer out.